Welcome to How Leaders Lead. I'm Koula Callahan, here to bring you another edition of 3 More Questions with David Novak. David, so pumped to be here with you today because we're talking about your conversation with Jeni Britton. She's the founder of Jeni's Ice Creams, which is very near and dear to my heart because her ice creams are insane.
Everybody's heart, Koula. I mean, I can't believe what it'd be like to be in the ice cream business. Can you imagine just the joy you'd be providing to all your customers? And just, she's got that brambleberry flavor. She's got these incredible flavors. She's so talented and so smart. I was really impressed with her.
I was too. Thankfully, or dangerously, I live about 0.2 miles away from a Jeni's ice cream shop. It's like you could almost see it out of my back door. And when I finish dinner, if I don't have a little dessert in my fridge, I just walk down to Jeni's, and just the smell of the shop itself is so satisfying, and it's such a positive experience. Like sometimes I don't even get ice cream. I just go in there and smell the smells because it's so delicious, and it's just a really fun atmosphere to be in. There's so much joy in there.
Jeni is a very talented person, but don't talk about how you go there and don't get ice cream and you just smell things. That is the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life, Koula. You know you indulge. You know you do. And the thing about Jeni, and the reason why she's so successful, is she's really learned how to combine the art and creativity of creating something with the science of being able to commercialize it. And I think that's a very unique combination that has made her very, very successful.
I totally agree. She's a very wise woman, and I'm excited to ask you the questions that I have teed up for you today. Question number 1. Jeni is a very intuitive leader. She believes deeply in getting connected to your sense of intuition and to that gut feeling that we all have inside of us. She's actually spends tons of time in the forest because she believes that helps her get in tune with her body and helps her discern how she actually feels about certain things. I'm curious, David, do you have a practice like this that gets you in tune with your intuition?
You know, I think what she's really doing is focusing on self-reflection. And every great leader I know always takes the time to really, assess, what they're thinking, why they're thinking it, and, what needs to be done. And that quiet time you find a lot of times leads to a lot of creativity, a lot of new ideas, and helps you solve solutions that you might have with people on your team. But I think everybody needs a process that gives you that quiet time. I love airplanes. I love being on an airplane. You get lots of quiet time up there when you're taking a trip. I think that's really powerful. And Koula, I just had my birthday recently, and you gave me a great book. And I've been doing gratitudes for a long time, and you gave me this gratitude book, and I loved it because the first thing it did was basically ask you, what are you grateful for? And you have to write down 3 things. Well, you know what? I've been doing that for years, okay? The second thing, it was like, what are the 3 things that would make today great? What would make it a great day? And I hadn't done that. And then the next thing that I really loved is, what's a positive affirmation? What can you say about yourself that will give you confidence as you work into the day? And I love that. And then at the end is like, okay, what made the day successful? What did you learn from the day? And I love that. So now I'm actually getting up, doing it in the morning, and then doing it before I go to bed. And I put this book on my end table by my bed where I put my phone, so I can't forget to do it before or in the morning, or before I get going in the morning, or when I'm about ready to go to sleep. So I think that's another way that I do it. And I like this new process. I really like it. And I particularly like, what did you learn today? Because, I think learning is such an important part of life. And when you have that personal reflection, I think you're always reflecting on what you learned and what you need to learn.
Absolutely. Jeni, in the interview, talks about how she really makes it a priority to connect with herself, both physically and mentally and emotionally. And I just think that the most grounded and best ideas come from that place of feeling at ease. not super heightened because you're really stressed about a decision that you have to make, or not in a state where you might be sad or depressed, but when you really feel equal and even and have that sense of balance. And I think, she speaks a little bit to that in the episode, but I just admire that so much because especially in business today, work culture is super fast paced. A lot of times there's toxic leadership out there that just forces you to kind of get outside of those rhythms that keep you grounded and tethered to the present moment. So I just really admire that about the way she leads and those practices that keep her tethered to what really matters.
Yeah, I agree. She definitely has process and discipline around what really matters as it relates to leading her team and building her organizations.
Question number 2. In the interview, Jeni says that leadership is about finding that sweet spot of compromise. She says, as a leader, you can't be perfect at everything. So being malleable and finding ways to create compromise are actually what can move your company forward. David, explain what that means for you and your leadership style.
Well, first of all, I kind of got a kick out of her answer because she's really not that malleable around anything that she's really good at. Because if it has anything to do with the brand and the marketing and how you're going to go to market with the customers, she gets the final say. And, that's just the way how it is. And she makes that clear to everybody in her organization. Now, she finds balance by creating a balanced team. So like she has a CEO that has more of a financial background, supply chain management background, does more of the analytics of the business. And I think she knows that it's really important that you have a balanced team. I always looked at it like this, Koula. I always said as a leader, what you got to do is you got to create a super milkshake. You want to put all the ingredients in this milkshake, all the talents that you have, around you. And then when you turn that blender on, you come up with this incredible concoction that allows you to get great results and to keep growing your business and growing yourself. So I really like the idea of creating this super milkshake, where I had all the ingredients that could lead to success. And if I was missing one ingredient, I tried to have the self-reflection and the reality hit me in the face that, boy, I better go get this type of person to get us to where our company needs. So I think, thinking about your business as a super milkshake as it relates to building your team was how I did it.
A super milkshake. No pun intended that we're recording an episode about a woman who leads an ice cream brand.
Yeah, I didn't really, that thought did not really occur to me, but, I guess it works.
Question number 3. Jeni is admittedly a more introverted person. So when she was first coming up in business, she got into character for the task at hand that she had to perform. When she opened up her first ice cream shop, she envisioned herself as this character, as a shopkeeper who tended to her shop and talked to customers. And she got into that character when she was in the shop scooping ice cream for people who walked into her door. I love that idea of getting into character when something might seem maybe scary or outside of your comfort zone. David, have you ever had to get into character to perform a task or get something done?
Yeah, I really did. And a lot of times it was when I had to give the big speech, where we'd have a big franchise convention, or I'd have a big internal meeting, or frankly, if I had to do a eulogy, for someone. And I would visualize and imagine as I'm getting ready to do this, that the audience really needed me. They needed me. I was the person that really needed to stand up and make this presentation, and nobody was going to be able to do it any better than me. And I really kind of positioned myself as this guy who could lift up the entire organization. And by the way, I was destined for that moment. And so by the time I walked up to do my speech, man, I was ready to go. I went to this memorial service for a really good friend of mine, and, everybody got up there and talked about themselves. And I was sitting there going, oh my gosh, this is one of the greatest guys I know, and all you're doing is talking about yourself. And they told stupid stories, long stories that didn't have anything to do with this person. And I knew that it was my job to get up there and turn the corner. So I couldn't wait. I couldn't wait to get up there and give that eulogy. And when I was done, I was so happy because, you know, his wife and his daughters, they immediately almost just, you know, came up stage and thanked me. And it was so moving to him. And I don't know why it happened, but to me, it was sort of like a God thing, you know, where I just, you know, it just happened. You know, this is like, I knew that they needed me to really capture what this person was all about. And I did it. And if I had to give the big speech, I would sit there and I'd tell myself, boy, nobody can really define where we're going like me. Nobody has the vision that I have. People need the stories of what I've learned, and I need to share what I've learned from them. And so I couldn't wait. By the time it was up for me to get up there and get it done, I couldn't wait. Now, it wasn't always like that, Koula. You know, when you're young and you don't have confidence, I think Tom Brady said you got to fake it till you make it, you know. And, you know, I certainly did enough of that as I was growing, but I kind of forced myself to project what I thought I needed to project, even if I didn't necessarily feel it 1,000% inside that I had the capability I needed to have. And I think a lot of times you just have to do that. You got to get outside of your comfort zone and push yourself to perform in those kind of moments. And I loved how Jeni, who was basically an introvert, you know, would create new characters when she went in and worked in the ice cream shop. I thought that was great, and I loved it. You know, while we're doing this, Koula, I got an ice cream story I got to tell you, because I think ice cream really is a powerful product. You know, when my wife Wendy was struggling, I got a call from Ken Langone, the co-founder of Home Depot. He said, David, I want to get together this afternoon. I said, fine. And she said, I'll pick you up at 3:00. So he picks me up, and you know, I said, where are we going? And he said, Dairy Queen. What do you mean, Dairy Queen? You know, this guy, multi-billionaire, he's taking me to Dairy Queen. He says, my father always told me that there's nothing better than ice cream when you're not feeling great. And, you know, ice cream can really lift you up. So we went to Dairy Queen, and I got a Dairy Queen ice cream cone. It's not as good, by the way, as Jeni's, but, you know, I got that Dairy Queen. But you know what? It was sensational because of the meaning behind it. And, you know, I mean, I don't know what got into Ken Langone to take me to go get some ice cream. He told me the story of his father. That was great. But, you know, he had to get into character. This is one of the toughest guys I know, but also one of the most loving. So what he did there was get into his loving character. And, you know, when I went home, you know, I remember we had a few tears together, but when I went home, I felt so much better, okay? And it was because he went into character and acted the way how he felt he needed to act to lift up a really good friend of his. And, you know, I'll never forget that. But I also will never forget the power of ice cream. You know, it is one of those things
Amen.
that you eat that just kind of makes you feel better. It's soothing, and there's nothing better at certain points in your life than a big bowl of ice cream. And I really enjoyed my conversation with Jeni because I think she understands that and captured that extremely well.
That's so sweet. Well, that does it for our episode of 3 More Questions for today. Thank you so much for tuning in to How Leaders Lead. I hope you listened to this episode with a big bowl of ice cream in your lap. We're on a mission here to make the world a better place by developing better leaders. And if you carve out a little time with us each and every week, we'll help you build the confidence you need to lead well.
And coming up next on How Leaders Lead is Doug Hirsch, the founder and former managing partner of Seneca Capital, and now the co-owner of the Arizona Drive professional pickleball team.